I spent the year enjoying history things around the UK and Europe. Let's see what we got up to. Hello and welcome to another episode here on the Echoes from the Past YouTube channel. And today what I thought I would do is do a bit of a year in review, really just go through what I went through over the year and just look back. You know, it's coming towards the end of the year now, so I thought it'd be good to just reflect and then possibly look forward to what we're going to do next year as well. So yeah, let's go through it. So we kicked off the year in March, really. That was the first big month for me, and that was my first trip to Normandy. And it was an amazing trip. I did have some troubles. I mentioned that in my parachute video, which I'll link somewhere around here, or I'll put it in the description, or just check it out on the channel. And even despite those hotel troubles, it was a really amazing trip. It was my first time visiting the area. First time driving in France as well. I'd never driven in another country, so that was eventful. But yeah, visiting the beaches, Utah and Omaha, the American Cemetery in Omaha as well. And the museums are amazing. I only scratched the surface while I was there. I was only there for a few days, but there's so much to see and do. I definitely want to go back. It is a very, very moving place. I'll say that straight off the bat. But I think I'm very grateful that I've been able to go and experience it all. I think if you're interested in the Second World War, I would definitely say visit at least once because it is well worth it. You know, I just did it by myself. I wanted to do what I wanted to do. There are tour groups that you can go on, and even guides that live in Normandy that you can obviously pay, and they'll take you around and they'll talk you through the history. But I just kind of wanted to do my own thing and stick to my own agenda. So yeah, I'll edit in some of the pictures and videos of me visiting. But yeah, it was an amazing way to start the year and kick off 2025 in terms of war things. And then moving on to April, this isn't really visiting anywhere, it's just a milestone. So the 16th of April was actually me starting this YouTube channel and my Instagram page as well. And I mainly did it because I wanted somewhere to share my Second World War passion with other like-minded people. And I've always kind of been a bit creative. I'm not super creative, hence why I went into science as a career. But it's always kind of been there. I've always thought I've been good at speaking and good at writing. And I thought this was the perfect opportunity to jump at, really. I thought, why not? You know, make the Instagram, share cool pictures of places I've been and things that I've bought and things that I've experienced. I'm really glad I'd started both of these, the Instagram and the YouTube channel, and mainly because I've made friends. You know, me and Katie doing the podcast Foxhole Chat. Go and check that out. I'll put the link down below. And you know, without me starting this Instagram or YouTube, I wouldn't have got in touch with her, and we wouldn't have started that podcast. And I've also made a couple of other loose friends along the way that have messaged me with words of encouragement or helped me with research. And I'm grateful to every single one, you know, even if it's just a brief comment or anything. You know, I really appreciate everything. And I'm really excited to carry it on and grow. I know YouTube growth is sometimes like trying to get blood from a stone. And I know I'm bad at, well, not bad, but I do struggle with uploading on a regular basis. I work full time, and you know that takes a lot of my energy. Sometimes I work 7-day weeks, and you know they're a killer. I'm not making excuses by any chance. You know, if you love something, you'll make the time for it, and I really do try with this hobby. And because I love it, I love everything to do with it. You know, making the videos, researching, editing, and getting them just right. It really makes me happy. It really does. And yeah, I just want it to grow. I want it to grow and reach as many people as possible because like I've said in previous videos, I want to carry the stories on. I think the remembrance of what happened. It shouldn't just be for that one Sunday in November. It should be for the whole year. And yeah, I'm just really excited, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where it goes. Not just this channel, the podcast as well. I'm super, super excited about that. Like, Katie's really, really creative with what she's done with the intro and coming up with ideas. And it's just really nice to bounce, war ideas off someone else. So I'm excited for everything going forward, absolutely. So another milestone in April was the Victory 45 book talk that I went to. This was with James Holland and Al Murray, two of my role models in the Second World War world. And it was only about an hour's drive from where I live. And I thought, great, I've got to jump at this opportunity, because I didn't know when else I was going to be able to go to an event that included them. So I drove and I went, and it was really, really nice. I was in my element, really. It was James Holland and Al Murray, and they were talking about this new book that I was really looking forward to reading. Got a signed copy as well, which is really cool. And it was amazing to see both of them like live as well. Listen to them on the podcast is one thing, but seeing them with your own eyes is different. And it was a very intimate setting. It was only a small little theatre, so I was really close to them. And yeah, it was just amazing the way they talked through the book, and really got me excited. And then towards the end, there was a bit of time where they could ask, or the audience could ask questions. And at this point, my heart's going 10 to the dozen, because I'm thinking I've got to ask them a question. I've got to talk to them, because you don't know when you're going to get these opportunities again. So I did, and I'm really glad I did. I first thanked them for what they do and keeping the Second World War in people's minds, and told them that they were an inspiration to me, which they are. And then I think, from what I can remember, I asked something along the lines of, we get caught up in the day-to-day, and when big anniversaries like this roll around, because it was the 80th anniversary of VE Day this year, is that, apart from those big years, does it go by the wayside and people kind of forget about it? And, could we learn more from it, really, and should it be more in people's minds? And I remember James saying that, if he kind of agreed with me, but he also said that, if you're upset about something, because I was saying we can get caught up in, got this bill to pay, got this to do, got to walk the dog, etc. Modern day problems that we all have. And I was saying, do we get caught up in those sometimes and lose sight of, what happened in the past and how lucky we are sometimes? And he kind of agreed, but also said, if you're upset about something, you have every right to be. And I totally agree. I was just trying to get at the idea of, sometimes it's good to step back and go, okay, I'm going through a stressful time right now, but it's not as bad as it could be. Take soldiers in foxholes, for example, sitting in the pouring rain. It's currently raining outside. Things aren't that bad, But yeah, that was an amazing event. I'm so glad I went. And I got to fangirl in front of James Holland and Al Murray. So, what's not to like, as James says. So, moving on to the month of May now, and this was a busy month. So to start off, I went to the Spitfire Visitor Centre up in Lytham, and I was in my element surrounded by aircraft. It's Spitfires, Hurricanes, and it's just an amazing place. It really is. I did a brief video. It was like my second video on this channel, I think it was, or third proper video anyway. And maybe looking back on that video, maybe it's a bit ropey. I'm still learning, but it was an amazing place to visit, lots to see and do. I didn't manage to do everything, so there is like a full-size Spitfire simulator there, but I'm kind of glad. I like leaving things, because it gives you an excuse to go back if you don't quite manage to do everything. And even just sitting in the 90% original Spitfire was amazing, because one of my goals is to fly in a Spitfire, and I know they're not cheap. I'm still currently saving. It's going to take me a few more years, but I am determined more than ever that childhood dream will happen, and going to the Spitfire Visitor Centre in Lytham just cemented that even more, because sitting in that aircraft and being taught through the cockpit and being able to touch the not the rudder, the control stick. Thank you, brain. even just touching the control stick was amazing. And I'd recommend that place if you're up there. Give it a visit. Probably spent like half a day there, a good couple hours there. The people there are really lovely. There's a little shop. You can't go wrong with a little shop, especially a little war shop. And obviously it's all like voluntary. None of the people there get paid. So, any money that you spend in the shop and spend on the little experiences they've got there, it goes back into maintaining the hangar and maintaining the aircraft. And again, keeping the history alive, because they had like history from the local area. So they had a P-51 engine that had been dug up from a village near where I grew up and where I went to high school, which is insane. And I didn't know that until I visited there. Didn't know that when I was at school, didn't know when I was living there and growing up. So yeah, amazing place. If there's places similar where you live, go visit them. Like I've said in previous videos, you don't know what history is around where you live. Just give it a Google and see what you find. So yeah, that's a good start to the month of May. Now we're moving on to a big day for me. Carrying on in May, still in May. And I'd had this one in the diary for a while because it got announced in advance. So what it was the Lancaster bomber from the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight was celebrating its 80th birthday this year. Because it was built just outside Chester in a place called Broughton at the Airbus factory there that's still there to this day. It still manufactures aircraft parts. So they were going to do a flyover with the Battle of Britain Memorial Flight. And obviously, again, that's like a 40-minute drive from where I live. I was definitely going to jump at that. I love everything Spitfires, everything RAF. And never been to an air show before, so of course I was going to jump at this opportunity. And I don't think words can do this day justice. Got there super early. Obviously it was super busy because again, people from around the different areas came because, who doesn't want to see, a Lancaster bomber fly over and hear the Merlin engines. It's just, it was an unbelievable experience. And, being stood underneath the aircraft as they flew. Obviously it wasn't like a super low pass, but you could feel the vibrations from the engines like in your chest, and again it was really moving for me. I've said in podcast episodes that we've recently recorded that I do get emotional. I'm an old man. I cry about the war, and this was a day where I wasn't bawling my eyes out, but I did get choked up seeing them, because I'd previously kind of seen them fly over my house when they were doing an air show a few years ago, about 2 years ago. But for this to be 80 years since the end of the Second World War and 80 years since PA 474 had been built, it was a big day. It was a really big day. And I'm so glad I went. And again, I'll edit in some of the pictures and the videos I took. There was also the Spitfires.com two-seater Spitfire there as well. They obviously that didn't fly in formation. But because it was kind of, getting to the nicer weather, they'd started doing passenger flights. So that was cool to see. So that was cool to see that as well, because that's the one that has the D-Day invasion stripes on as well, which is amazing. I love everything to do with D-Day and Normandy, obviously. So yeah, that was another absolutely, amazing day, and one that will stick with me probably for the rest of my life. So skipping ahead a few months now, we're skipping ahead to August, and this was the announcement of my idea to do the Tour of Remembrance series here on the channel. And I think it's one of my best ideas that I've had, and I'm really glad that I had it, that I had that light bulb moment, because it's always exciting and interesting researching each one of the war memorials and then traveling to them. I haven't managed to go too far with it yet. I am going home, from where I'm from originally, in January, And I'm really excited to do my village, the village where I grew up, War Memorial. Super excited about that. And I'm just glad to have an ongoing series on the YouTube channel as well. Something regular for you guys if you enjoy my stuff. I've got the random topics that I come up with, but then the Tower of Remembrance will always kind of stick around and be around. And I hope it teaches you guys something. I hope that it teaches you and encourages you to maybe go, do you know what? I'm not doing anything today. I'll go to my local war memorial and just read some of the names, or Google it before you go and find out, some of the history behind it. And if you ever do, drop me a comment, message me on Instagram about if you do anything like that. I'd love to hear about that. So yeah, August was a bit of a quieter month, but still a good month. We must be on to November, and we're talking about my 80-mile remembrance walk that I did for Royal British Legion. And so that's the medal. So this was a combination of I was doing this virtual medal challenge from a company called Medal Mad, and I had this idea. I'd found this medal and I thought, oh, that's right up my street. I'll do that as good exercise and it's a bit of fun, and then I combine it with trying to raise a bit of money for Royal British Legion. And I'm not going to lie, I'll be super honest with you guys, it was challenging at times. There were days where, whether it was weather, when we had that really bad rain, I still went out and did it. And there was days where I was really tired and, coming home from work and then trying to find the energy and go out again. But I had to dig deep and do it. I think I was determined to do it because I had a goal in mind that I wanted to raise money to give back in a small way to the Royal British Legion, which I think do really good work. And that's what kept me going. And also what kept me going was I was listening to a lot of We Have Ways on the journey, and a lot of like film score music that I associate with films I love and games I love. And yeah, I'm really glad I did it despite it being challenging. And looking back now, only really just over a month later since I finished it, because it was from the 1st of November to the 30th of November, I'm really proud of myself. And I don't give myself a lot of credit for doing things, but to complete that over that month and to raise £350, which if you donated, I am so grateful, and I know Royal British Legion will be as well. That's an amazing amount of money to raise, and smashed my target. My target was to raise 250 and we beat that by 100. And yeah, that's thanks to you guys and your support. And I said it on my Instagram that, any words of encouragement, any likes, any messages of encouragement as well, I did really appreciate it all, and I appreciated everyone sticking around. And yeah, I'm so glad I did it, and I've got that medal now to always remind me that November 2025 I completed a really amazing challenge. Now we're on to the current month that we're in, December. So we're coming to the end of the year, and this has really been a podcast heavy month. So me and Katie have been working hard on recording plenty of episodes to come out in the new year. And yeah, it's been really nice. It's been really good. There's been some laughs along the way so far, and I know there's going to be more. And I think we're both really excited. I think Katie would agree with me on that. And it's just nice to be something new to be creative with, to have that collaboration between someone, because I can sit here in my house and waffle on about the war all day long, but it's nice to, like I said before, bounce ideas off each other and have like a conversation with someone also afflicted by the Second World War. And there's really a lot of potential with it. We want to get some guests on. We're both really excited about that, and we've talked about possibly going to events together as the podcast and doing kind of live podcasts and talking to other people afflicted by the Second World War. So yeah, the sky's the limit, and we're hoping to really grow on that and keep that going throughout next year. So if you're not subscribed, head over to Foxhole Chat. It'll be on my Instagram, and I'll put the links down in the description below. So yeah, that's really just my year. Obviously, it's not been a full year since I've been on YouTube. That'll be April, so that'll be a nice anniversary to celebrate and see where we are and see how much we've grown. But I'm just really grateful for these past like couple months and everything, and I'm grateful for every view, every like, every share. They're not huge numbers, but I do it because I love it. I want it to grow, so share it as wide as you can. Share it with your friends and other people that might like it. And with it coming up to Christmas, I'm hoping to get some war-related things. Hopefully, maybe some more books, even though I've got loads on my TBR. But that's never a bad thing. So thank you again for following along, for watching, for liking, commenting, anything. I really genuinely appreciate it. I really do, because this is how I unwind from work, and I'm excited to carry it on, like I've said before. And yeah, I hope you can join me along the journey and see where we take this thing. So yes, thank you again. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe as well. Like I said in the last video, it's free. I'm giving you a free early Christmas present with this video. So yes, I hope everyone has a nice Christmas. I hope it's not too chaotic. I hope everyone has a lovely new year, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace.